691.
It is true again.
Yes. Shall I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It is true again that life, when it emerges, becomes dominant, turns matter into an instrument for its manifestation, and begins to look as if it were itself the secret original principle which breaks out into creation and veils itself in the forms of matter. There is a truth in this appearance, and this truth must be admitted as a part of the integral knowledge. Life, though not the original reality, is yet a form, a power of it which is missioned here as a creative urge in matter. Life, therefore, has to be accepted as the means of our activity and the dynamic mode into which we have here to pour the divine existence. But it can so be accepted only because it is a form of a divine energy which is itself greater than the life force. The life principle is not the whole foundation and origin of things. Its creative working cannot be perfected and sovereignly fulfilled or even find its true movement until it knows itself as an energy of the divine being and elevates and subtilizes its action into a free channel for the outpourings of the superior nature.
Yeah. Okay, so he has not yet told us very clearly, but we can see what are the four theories of existence. Okay, so and then he is discussing the one by one how he saying. So the first theory of existence is obviously materialism. Okay, that is to say, matter is the only reality. Anything beyond matter is not real because I don't see it and I don't smell it, I don't see it, I don't touch it. So matter is only real. Materialism. Theory number one. Theory number two, the Mayavada philosophy, that when you go to the spiritual plane of consciousness and the mind becomes silent, you see the physical world as unreal. That is what Shiva is now tackling. Okay, the world is real. That's why he is going on saying. But let's finish all the four. So, second theory is the theory of Mayavada, or you can say Buddhism. The world is unreal, absolutely diametrically opposite to the materialistic theory. The only reality is the Brahman, and the matter is not real at all. The third theory of existence is the world is not unreal, it is real, and Brahman also is real. But the reality in the physical world is a temporary reality, it's a practical reality, it is something Vyavaharika Satta, according to Shankara. The world is not unreal, the world is real. The divine is here, hiding behind the forms. But if you want the divine fully and not partially as here, you have to go to the Brahman consciousness. This is the third theory of existence. Fourth theory of existence, we'll end up with though. Everything is real, but in a graded form. And we have to accept all, and we don't have to reject anything, but there is a gradation. Okay? There is a more of a reality, less of a reality. Reality is relative right up to the supramental level. Reality at the physical level can even be seen as unreality. And in the spiritual planes of consciousness, reality is there, but it is partial. And finally, at the highest level, reality is seen in its true colors. Okay? So these are the four theories of existence. So now Srimdu is saying, he has told us earlier, any theory that rejects the third level, that is the first level is the, according to the Gita, the mutable reality, the mutable Purusha. That is the first one. The second one is the immutable Purusha. And the third one is the both mutable as well as the Purusha. And that is the real Satchidananda consciousness you want, or the supermind. She has coined a new word, supermind. Okay? Supermind is the link between the higher hemisphere and the lower hemisphere. So this is the fourth theory he is discussing. And he says that any theory which rejects the third level, where everything is real, we cannot accept. Okay? We have to take it with a pinch of salt. That's what he's saying. So now he's saying the Mayavada theory is rejecting matter and rejecting life. But do we do that? No, we don't. That's what he's discussing here. Okay? So he's saying, just 1 second, 691. So, first, in the previous para, he has said that mind we take mind as a principle. On page 690, the last 2 lines of the page, our theory of the integral knowledge admits mind as a creative principle. It does create, it's a real thing. But it is a secondary creative principle, not the primary one. Okay, if you remember. Now he is coming to life. Okay? He is coming to life. It is true again that life, when it emerges, becomes dominant. Okay, which is what the materialism is stressing on. Okay? It is true again that life, when it emerges, becomes dominant, turns matter into an instrument for its manifestation, and begins to look as if it were itself the secret original principle which breaks out into creation and veils itself in the forms of matter. So, that we discussed yesterday, life, matter is the first reality, and when life emerges out of it, it uses matter. In fact, no living creature in the physical world is without matter. Okay? If there is no matter, then it cannot be a living creature. It is not life. Okay? So this is what Swami is saying. Okay? Then we come in the mind also, it is matter itself that becomes capable of mind. Yesterday we discussed this. The muscle tissue, which is only life matter. I am using the word lifed, okay, as a verb. If matter you take and put life into it, it becomes lifed matter. Example, living tissue and muscle tissue. And finally, the mind principle, when it comes in, matter is inserted, matter is injected. Mind is injected into matter and becomes capable of thought. That's our brain. There's a huge difference between the muscle tissue and the brain tissue. Okay? So that's what we discussed. Now he's saying, it is true that life also comes in. So is it real or unreal? That's a question being discussed here. Okay. So it is true again that life, when it emerges, becomes dominant, turns matter into an instrument for its manifestation. In other words, life cannot exist on earth without matter. Begins to look as if it were itself the secret original principle which breaks out into creation and veils itself in the forms of matter. He is referring very obliquely to the theory of Henri Bergson, which is the theory élan vital. Matter is not the only reality. Life is the real principle. That's the main principle. Okay. Mind also and life is not so clear. Then the third one is the mind is the only reality. That's Rene Descartes. Okay. I think, therefore I am. So all these, the materialist is saying matter is the only reality. Bergson is saying no, life is the more important element. And finally, mind is the more important element. That is the Descartes, Rene Descartes. His famous sentence, I think, therefore I am. And Sri Aurobindo says all of them are all partial truths. Man really is because he is a soul. That's the last one. Okay. So Sri Aurobindo is discussing the life here. Okay. Veils itself in the forms of matter. There is a truth in this appearance, and this truth must be admitted as part of the integral knowledge. And what is that? Life is real. Okay? Life is essentially real and need not be rejected. It's a principle, okay, which is quite divine in essence. That's what he's saying. Okay? Life, though not the original reality, is yet a form, a power of it, which is missioned here as a creative urgent matter. Okay? The creative urge is there in matter also, yesterday we saw, but only it creates. So now matter, life is now creating. It creates all these living creatures. So life is a creator. Life also is a creator, mind also is a creator. But the real ultimate creator is Satchidananda. Or if you want, Supermind, because Satchidananda does not create. It creates only through Supermind. If Supermind is not there, there will be no creation. Okay? Life, though not the original reality, is yet a form, a power of it. Why? For power of what? Life is a representation of the Chit Shakti. Okay? If you remember the correspondences, Sat becomes matter, Chit Shakti becomes life, Ananda becomes a psychic being, and Supermind becomes mind at a lower end, but all diminished and distorted also to a certain extent. Okay? This is what Shendra is saying. Life, therefore, has to be accepted as a means of our activity. In our theory, the fourth theory, we do accept life as real, but partially. It's not fully. It's not the ultimate. We're saying it's not the original reality. It's a form of reality. Life, therefore, has to be accepted as a means of our activity and the dynamic mode into which we have here to pour the divine existence. This is Shendra's theory that the divine is here, but he is not visible. But you have to make it visible. Our theory of life is that the divine has to be made visible in life. That's what it's saying. Dynamic mold into which we have here to pour the divine existence. Look at the words, very interesting. Okay? Life is being injected into matter, mind is being injected into life and matter, and now somebody is saying the divine existence has to be injected into mind, life, and matter. Okay? But it can so be accepted only because it's a form of divine energy. Which is the divine energy? Chit Shakti. Okay? Which is itself greater than life force. The divine energy is a Chit Shakti, and obviously it is greater than the vital. Vital is a life force. Life force vital is a diminished and distorted principle of Chit Shakti. That's what he said. The life principle is not the whole foundation and origin of things. Its creative working cannot be perfected and sovereignly fulfilled, or even find its true movement until it knows itself as an energy of the divine being and elevates and subtilizes its action into a free channel for the outpourings of a superior nature. And when is that possible? When the life principle is made pure, when it is purified, when it rejects ego, attachment, and desire. When it rejects ego, attachment, and desire, the vital becomes capable of divine energy. Okay, that's what it's saying. So, to sum it all up, okay, I'll just read the summary of what he's saying in the paragraph. Then we'll go on to the next paragraph. He'll deal with mind next. Okay. Similarly, when life emerges from matter, it seems to be the predominant principle to which the other two subject themselves. Okay. That means to say, mind and matter, in the life plane of consciousness, life is the main one, and matter also is playing second fiddle, and mind also is playing second fiddle, but this is the life plane, the universal life plane he's talking about. Okay? And it corresponds to the intra-conscient in the individual. He's not talking about life on earth. He's talking about life in the plane, the spiritual plane of consciousness. Life makes matter its instrument and uses it to manifest itself in infinite forms. Life seems to be ever present in matter as a secret inherent force. This is true, but it is not the ultimate principle. We see life as a power of the spirit and we accept it as such without rejecting it. Because who is the we? Shendra's integral theory. Okay? We accept it as such without rejecting it because of its imperfections and perversities. Because perversities are there, I won't reject it. It is essentially divine. That's what Shiv is. Life has to be purified and used as a divine energy. The vital in man must know itself as essentially divine and must become a channel for the divine force to express itself in the manifestation, which is a becoming. Okay? So this is what he has said. In other words, the fourth theory of Sri Aurobindo, that everything is real, we don't reject life. Although it is a derivative, it's an auxiliary, it's not the main thing. It is a conditioned chit. Reduced and conditioned chit. Okay? So now we go to the next one. Mind in its turn. Now what about the mind? So Kiran read. So Sima, if you have the text, you can read. They're all small paras. Very small paras.
Okay,
Mind in its
Dada.
turn. Yeah, go read.
Mind in its turn, when it emerges, becomes dominant. It uses life and matter as a means of its expression, a field for its own growth and sovereignty, and it begins to look as if it were the true reality and the creator, even as it is the witness of existence. But mind also is a limited and a derivative power. It is an outcome of overmind, or it is here a luminous shadow thrown by the divine supermind. It can only arrive at its own perfection by admitting the light of a larger knowledge. It must transform its own more ignorant, imperfect, and conflicting powers and values into the divinely effective potencies and harmonious values of the supramental truth consciousness. All the powers of the lower hemisphere, with their structures of the ignorance, can find their true self only by a transformation in the light that descends to us from the higher hemisphere of an eternal self-knowledge.
So now he is dealing with mind. One by one, he is dealing with everything. First, he dealt with matter, and he agreed that there is a reality to matter, although it's not the only reality. Then he comes to life, and life also he agrees that it is real, but it's a derivative real. Okay, it is not the ultimate real. Now he is discussing mind. Now, when he is discussing all these are the universal planes of matter, universal planes of life, and universal planes of mind. So remember that these worlds exist by themselves in the universe, and these worlds in the mind plane, mind is the dominant principle. Matter and life become derivative principles. Mind is the one that operates absolutely fully there in that world. But when that universal mind comes down into the human mind, it becomes the ordinary mind. It does not have the power that the universal mind has. Okay, you must remember that. Okay, that you remember. Okay? Just like universal matter has got tremendous power and force in it. Look at the volcanoes, look at the tsunamis. This is all matter. Okay, earthquakes. But in the human body, these things are, the power is there hidden. Okay, it is hidden, but it's not as obvious as in the universal level. Okay, so in fact, the body has got all these powers, and that's what the Hatha Yogin exploits. The Hatha Yogin exploits the hidden power in the body, okay? And the occultists, they exploit the hidden powers in life. Okay? And mind, now mind planes also run into the spiritual planes of consciousness. It is absolutely very powerful at its own level. Okay? So I read each sentence now. Keep this in mind. Mind in its turn, when it emerges, becomes dominant. It becomes the main principle. It uses life and matter as means of its expression. Okay? That's very clear. It uses life and matter. Life it uses for making itself better. And it also uses matter also. In fact, mind is mind that has created as I said, the mobile and the motor car and the aeroplane and the computer. So it is using matter to improve its own condition. Okay. So, and matter as a means of its expression, a field for its own growth and sovereignty, and it begins to look as if it was a true reality, and the creator, even as it is the witness of existence. He is talking of the higher mind level, this lowest plane in the spiritual level, okay, the higher mind. The witness of existence is clearly there. Our mind is not a witness of existence. It can observe very, very defectively. But when you go to the spiritual level of consciousness, the higher mind, which is the lowest in the spiritual planes, you become the witness. Okay, so he's talking of that. You can see when he's using mind, now he's talking of mind right up to the overmind level. Okay, from the lowest, which is the physical mind, then you have the vital mind, then you have the pure mind of the intellectual, and then you have the spiritual mind, which goes from higher mind up to illumined mind, up to intuitive mind, and finally up to the overmind. Above the overmind, it's not really mind anymore, it becomes supermind. It looks as if it is a true reality, and the creator, even as the witness of existence. And there is this theory, the Cartesian principle, they call it. Okay? Descartes, René Descartes, he was a Frenchman, and his idea was that mind is the main principle. Man exists because he is a mind. So, part true, not entirely. But mind also is a limited and derivative power. It's not the original creator, it's a secondary creator. It is an outcome of our mind, or it is here, not the word here in the physical world, a luminous shadow thrown by the divine supermind. Luminous shadow, it's a shadow, but luminous. So those so fond of using oxymorons. Savitri is full of them, teeming. Every line has got an oxymoron almost. So, how can a shadow be luminous? Because it's a shadow, but the mind has got power. It's got power enough to even create, as I said, the mobile, the aeroplane. So it's a luminous shadow thrown by the divine supermind. It can only arrive at its own perfection by admitting the light of a larger knowledge. It must transform its own more ignorant, imperfect, and conflicting powers and values into the divinely effective potencies and harmonious values of the supramental truth consciousness. Let's look at this carefully. It must transform its own more ignorant, imperfect, and conflicting powers. So what are the conflicting powers? Very clearly, at the mind level, you have the dualities. Okay? You have the dualities. Okay? The dualities are the opposites, hot and cold, okay? Good and bad. Okay? All the dualities are there. And in the mind plane, the dualities rule. The dualities are dominant in the mind. But when you go above the mind, the dualities disappear. They appear to be the same thing, variation of two poles. Okay? So, this is what Sandra is saying. The word conflicting powers is referring to the duality. And if you are in the mind plane, the dualities are bound to happen for you. So, no problem at the mental level can be solved ever fully. Okay. That is the reason why the constitution of India, for instance, can be interpreted in so many different ways because you are at the mental level. Yesterday only I was seeing a video which was there was a discussion about the removal of the 370 article in Kashmir. There are both can argue correctly. Okay, they can say yes, it is valid. The other will say yes, it is not valid. Okay, so this is what he means by conflicting powers and values into the divinely effective potencies. Divinely effective. At a normal level, humanly effective potencies are possible. But at the supramental level, divinely effective potencies are possible. Harmonious values of the supramental truth consciousness. There are no dualities at all. All the powers of the lower hemisphere, with their structures of the ignorance, can find their true selves only by transformation in the light that descends to us from the higher hemisphere of internal self-knowledge. The mind knowledge is not enough. It's great. Mind knowledge is very great. In fact, science is using mind knowledge and it has achieved fantastic things. It's even going to the moon, it's going to Mars. It's not a small thing, but it is not the real knowledge. Okay. So now we go to the third one. All these three lower powers. So, Sunki, can you read? Sunki,
Yes, Nandada.
she's there. All these three lower powers.
All these three lower powers of being build upon the inconscient and seem to be originated and supported by it. The black dragon of the inconscience sustains with its vast wings and its bag of darkness the whole structure of the material universe. Its energies unroll the flux of things. Its obscure intimations seem to be the starting point of consciousness itself and the source of all life impulse. The inconscient, in consequence of this origination and predominance, is taken now by a certain line of inquiry as the real origin and creator. It has indeed to be accepted that an inconscient force and an inconscient substance are the starting point of the evolution. But it is a conscious spirit and not an inconscient being that is emerging in the evolution. The inconscient and its primary works are penetrated by a succession of higher and higher powers of being and are made subject to consciousness so that its obstructions to the evolution, its circles of restriction are slowly broken. The python coils of its obscurity shot through by the arrows of the sun god. So are the limitations of our material substance diminished until they can be transcended, and mind, life, and body can be transformed through a possession of them by the greater law of divine consciousness, energy, and spirit. The integral knowledge admits the valid truth of all views of existence, valid in their own field, but it seeks to get rid of their limitations and negations and to harmonize and reconcile these partial truths in a larger truth which fulfills all the many sides of our being in the one omnipresent existence.
Yeah. So Shendra is now talking about the lower hemisphere, body, life and mind. Matter, life and mind is discussed. Now he is talking about the inconscient. And he always uses 2-3 words. And the second one, that Python, is from the Vedic lore. Okay, so now we'll read what he's saying. And all of these are coming from the inconscient. They are coming from the inconscient, which is a principle of darkness and infinite darkness, but contains all the potentialities of all these things which are there at the highest level. They are there. The inconscient is the mirror image of the conscient at the highest level. That is consciousness, this is unconsciousness. That is formlessness, this is form. That is eternal, but this also is eternal. That is infinite, this also is infinite. Okay, so it's a mirror image. There are many similarities and some differences also. Okay? Only it becomes the opposite in many ways. So, all these three lower powers of being build upon the inconscient. That's a base. It's like a foundation, and slowly, slowly, the structure is being built up on it until the structure reaches the highest heavens. Okay? That has not yet happened. All these three lower powers of being build upon the inconscient and seem to be originated and supported by it. Look at the word seem, okay? Because actually, are they created by the inconscient? They are created by the inconscient if you look at it from the bottom. But if you look at it from the top, you will see that it is created by the Satchidananda. So that is what Shendra says, and that he discovered only when he entered the supermind. Even at the overmind level, this doubt is always there. Is the inconscient the real creator of everything, or is it the superconscious? That problem got solved for him only when he entered the superconscious. Seemed to be originated and supported by the black dragon of the inconscience. This is where very often he uses this phrase, the black dragon of the inconscience, sustains with its vast wings and its back of darkness the whole structure of the material universe. Its energies unroll the flux of things. What are the flux of things? Life first and then mind. Its obscure intimations seem to be the starting point of consciousness itself and the source of all life impulse. Again, he uses the word seem, okay? Because it does seem to be like that. Everything is evolving from the inconscient. The inconscient, in consequence of this origination and predominance, is taken now by a certain line of inquiry as a real origin and creator. Materialism thinks like that. It has indeed to be accepted that an inconscient force and inconscient substance are the starting point of the evolution. We can accept that. There is a part of truth in it. That's what we've been saying. But it's a conscious spirit and not an inconscient being that is emerging in the evolution. The inconscient and its primary works are penetrated by a succession of higher and higher powers of being and are made subject to consciousness, so that its obstructions to the evolution, its circles and restrictions are slowly broken. The python coils of its obscurity shot through by the arrows of the sun god. I think this is I'm not sure, but he seems to be using Vedic images. The python is the inconscient, and the sun god at from top is forcing it to wake up by shooting it with the arrows of the sun. So are the limitations of our material substance diminished until they can be transcended, and mind, life, and body can be transformed to the possession of them by the greater law of divine consciousness, energy, and spirit. Again, you see consciousness, energy, and spirit. Satchidananda. Ananda is not mentioned, but it is there. The integral knowledge admits the valid truths of all views of existence, valid in their own field, but it seeks to get rid of their limitations and negations and to harmonize and reconcile these partial truths in a larger truth which fulfills all the many sides of our being in the one omnipresent existence. So we have still 8 minutes and they're all very, very small. So what Sridhar is saying
Dada,
is, yes, tell me.
we have also read in Savitri and in Mother's volume, I think in volume 14, Mother has told that the divine love was just acting as an input in the inconscient, as just an yeast is used for the baking a cake. So the divine law was there. That is why the evolution process from the inconscient began. So here it is written. So can you elaborate a little bit that the inconscient and its primary works are penetrated by a succession of higher and higher powers of the inconscient and its primary works are penetrated by a succession of higher and higher powers of being and are made subject to consciousness, so that its obstructions to the evolution, its circles of restrictions are slowly broken. So is it equivalent to that divine law?
The divine law is a law.
Love, L-O-V-E, love. Prema, Divya Prema.
Love, okay. But the love has become the opposite. It is hidden itself. When Mother speaks of divine love, yesterday we discussed this in detail. Yesterday we discussed why he is using the word inevitably it must come out. Necessarily it must come out from the inconscient. Why is using all these words? Yesterday we discussed. Because it's a divine, you can say love or you can say Ananda. The Satchidananda is there in the inconscient. It is almost the equivalent, but it is still more powerful than the inconscient. And that is why it is emerging. That we discussed yesterday. And when it is emerging, it does not emerge fully in one stroke. It is emerging little by little, little by little. And the life is more divine than the inconscient. Mind is more divine than the life and the inconscient. Then the spiritual planes of consciousness are more divine than the mind, life, and matter. Like that it goes on. That's what he's saying here in this paragraph. Okay? It emerges little by little. But the emergence is because you can call it divine love, but you can also call it Ananda. Okay? The Satchidananda is there in the inconscient. Okay? So that's what he's saying. Your question was divine love.
Yes, Dada.
it?
In Savitri also, like that, something was explained that the divine love, divine love was there in the inconscient, and that is why sometimes this type of explanation I have heard somewhere, I think. So that is why I asked, and I have also read in volume 14, I think, CWM, that divine love was just like an yeast and the baking elements which are being used for the baking cakes and etc. So mother has given that example that just like that yeast is used to bake for baking purpose, just like that divine love was there in the inconscient, which started the evolution process. That for that only the evolution process started.
See,
I will send you the message, Dada. I will send you the
you don't
message.
need to send me anything. You have to
Okay.
understand that love is not the only thing. Mother is using words. Don't get stuck in words. Okay? It is Satchidananda which is there fully in the inconscient. Okay? Mother is using the word love instead of, because we know that love, beauty, and Ananda always go together. So you have to keep that in mind. Mother is using the word
Yes,
love.
Dada.
Mother is
Yes,
using
Dada.
the word
Yes,
love.
yes.
But what about consciousness? It is there also. Okay? That you must remember. Don't get stuck in words.
Yes, Dada.
Visible is
Yes, Dada. I understood.
in the inconscient, there is such an Ananda is there involved in it. Ananda is there, therefore you can say love. And if you want to, it depends on how you are looking at things. Okay? But everything is there in the inconscient. Okay? So we have only 3 minutes left. I was thinking that Shilpa could read the next one, but unfortunately the time is finished.
What exactly?
Pardon?
What exactly is the significance of the dragon?
That I can't say. But python, dragon, these are the words used for the inconscient. In Savitri also very often, and also in his own he uses. So I don't know exactly why he uses the dragon. Probably because of its power. And anyway, we are ending now. Okay, everybody has got their work to do. Definitely, Archana has work to do. Yasmin also. So and Kiran also. They are all doctors. They need to work. So we stop here today. Au revoir, everybody.
Merci
Have a nice day.
beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Ranga.
Shiva, au revoir.
Au revoir, Dada. Thank you very much.